As you wake up this morning, at least two governments under siege, one in Libya and it looks like another one in Wisconsin. We're going to get an update on both because we're going to turn to Bill Kristol, the editor of the Weekly Standard, whom we watch regularly on Fox News Sunday. He joins us now. Bill, good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, but I'm curious because as I look at what's happening in Wisconsin right now, it seems to me that this is a duel of the titans, and no side can afford to blink. I found this as I was preparing the show this morning, but the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, the NEA, and SEIU, which is about half public union membership, have collectively put about $103 million into campaigns that have traditionally elected Democrats that guaranteed their benefits. That's really what this fight is about, right? Isn't it about the perpetuity of protecting benefits with the right political leaders?
It is, and those benefits are bankrupting, obviously, the states, and that's why it's come to a head. I mean, it's been a problem for quite a while. Private sector unions can organize and they contribute, but they have an opposition management, and that tends to achieve a rough balance. You know, they have interests, they negotiate against each other, and they may contribute against each other. The trouble with public sector unions is if they elect someone, they're negotiating with the guy they elected. That's not a real negotiation.
But that's why they elect him in the first place, right?
Now, what happens, of course, is the politician can't really afford, if he's at the state level, to bust the budget that year. So often the salary raises aren't too great. Sometimes they are pretty great, but if they can be constrained by the budget. But then the politician signs deals for pension benefits and health benefits in the out years, which are huge, and those are slopped on to future generations. And the politicians, the union members are happy, the politician doesn't look too irresponsible, and the only people who have to pay are our children and grandchildren. And that's what's coming due in Wisconsin, and even more dramatically in lots of other states. And obviously the only cause of that isn't the fact that the public sector employees have collective bargaining, but it is one cause of it. The states that are in worse trouble are states that have collective bargaining. The Washington Post had a fantastic edit, not a right-wing paper, had a fantastic editorial about a year ago contrasting Maryland and Virginia and why Montgomery County is in much worse fiscal shape than Fairfax County. And one of the reasons is exactly what I just described. So I think this is a very important fight, as you say, not just to save some money and get Wisconsin's books in the black, but also because we've got to change the rules of bargaining for public employees. They can have all kinds of rights, they can have all kinds of guarantees, civil service protections, federal employees do. That doesn't mean they have the right to collectively bargain for these benefits.
Can Scott Walker do to public employees in Wisconsin what Ronald Reagan was able to do with the Patco employees? Could he conceivably fire them if they can come to no resolution on this matter? Because it seems to me he cannot blink on this.
Well, I don't think he has to fire them. I mean, you can't fire every teacher presumably in the state, and I don't know if he has the authority to. A lot of them are local employees, so it's a little different from Patco. But no, he won't blink, and I think he can win in the state legislature, and he can end up restricting their rights to bargain for health benefits and pension benefits, and those can be, and that would be a real victory. I don't think he has to, I mean, I hope he doesn't have to lay off employees. He will have to do that if they don't come to some agreement just to balance the budget.
What about the standoff at the federal level right now between Republicans and the president threatening to veto this budget the Republicans have put forward, and there's talk of another government shutdown? Will anybody blink in that case? Do you think there will be a government shutdown?
I doubt it. I assume that they can arrange short-term a continuing resolution which has some cuts, not as steep as the Republican cuts, and I suppose end up with an agreement for cuts that aren't as deep as the House cuts and that have some cuts. The House cuts are being presented as draconian, incredibly deep, unprecedented. The fact that they're unprecedented shows that no one's ever cut anything, because in fact these are cuts back literally to the 2008-2007 levels in domestic discretionary spending. I mean, this is like saying, you start spending at restaurants this next year what you spent 3-4 years ago instead of 2 years ago, maybe when you had a kind of year of eating out even more, and that this is like an incredible reduction in your lifestyle. It's really ridiculous.
All right, let's turn to the other government under siege, obviously in Libya right now. And I guess my question is, why was the Obama administration so adamant about regime change in Egypt, but seems to be much less so in Tripoli, where clearly even new behavior notwithstanding, Muammar Gaddafi has been a bad guy whose reputation has spanned, 4 decades now?
Yeah, I mean, a real sponsor of terrorism, a guy with American blood on his hands. I don't know why the administration's been so slow and why its statements have been so weak, including even the one by Secretary Clinton yesterday, which sort of denounced violence generally and said it was unacceptable, but didn't condemn the regime. It didn't threaten anything if this continues, and certainly we don't seem to be doing anything stop the violence, and there are things we could do directly and indirectly, I think. So, no, I'm distressed by I think the Obama administration has really bought into that idea that, gee, if we get it all involved, it'll all turn against us. This is a theory for years. There's no real evidence of that. And I think the opposite happens. If people think we're standing aside as a tyrannical government slaughters its citizens, they'll say, why is the U.S. standing aside? I really hope today the president steps up and makes clear what side we're on, and also starts mobilizing the world to stop Gaddafi from doing what he's doing and really to depose him, to get that regime out of power. Egypt was a more delicate situation. We were a little slow, but we ended up, I think, pretty much helping do the right thing. We still have a huge task ahead of us there. But we really need to step up to the plate here.
Would you be okay with giving him safe haven in Venezuela, or do you think that he should be arrested?
Well, I prefer to see him pay a price for all of his crimes, but if Hugo Chavez wants to give him safe haven, I wouldn't shoot the plane down that was taking him there, I suppose.
Okay. Bill, great to talk to you.